This is the Middle of Nowhere Gaming Podcast.
Welcome into episode 37 of the Middle of Nowhere Gaming Podcast. This is the special post E3 episode. So we're throwing all the normal structure out the door for the most part. I mean, we're just replacing the middle of the show with important topics, the things that we can talk about that happened at E3, things like each conference, what was the best about them, game of show, worst game show, excited about, all that kind of good stuff, and some of the news that was announced after the conferences so that we didn't record on the QuickTime event earlier in the week. So I have with me today our favorite Nintendo ninja, Lou.
How you doing, listeners?
They're like, Lou, shut up. We hate you. You're so mean. Sorry, just kidding.
I live with that every day, Coordinate.
I give you shit every day. And then we are also joined by Landon, who was on QuickTime event episode 1 or 2?
Yeah.
It was 1. Oh, yeah, it was 1 part 2, the Mario Kart one, right?
That is correct.
Okay, cool. So, and this is we're taking your MONG podcast virginity now. You've been on both podcasts. You're one of what? Maybe 2 or 3 or 4 people who have been on both now? Me, Lou, Kyle. Has anybody else been on both?
No.
Oh, no.
We haven't had Brennan yet?
No, we haven't had Brennan on QT yet. So yeah, that's
rotating third chair.
You're one of 4 people who have been on both podcasts now. Feel special.
Nice.
Okay, so E3, it happened. It came, it went. We had a good time. We laughed, we cried.
No
yeah.
last. Oh wait. Yep.
No. You're gonna say No Last Guardian?
Yep.
Again.
But that's why we cried.
But we did cry about that, yeah. But there is an update on that. So last time we recorded, we didn't really know anything. We didn't know why they didn't announce it. Shuhei Yoshida and a few other Sony execs have come out and said, don't worry, it's not canceled. If it is canceled, we will let you know. Honestly, that makes sense. What does Sony have to gain from not announcing a cancellation? It's like if they wait to announce that it was canceled, just more negative feedback, more negative, outcry will fall on them. So
right.
You guys are really backing me up. Thanks. Awesome. I could just carry the show if you want, or just hear right from Lou behind everything.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
But yeah. So I think me and one of my buddies were talking about it today that I think that Sony's gonna wait until it's literally available. So like TGS or Gamescom, they're gonna be like, hey, you could buy it next Tuesday, or you could buy it today, or something like that, because if they announce it 6 months away or something like that, and they say, yeah, it's coming out in 6 months from now, everybody's still going to be skeptical. They have nothing to gain from waiting even longer after they announce it.
I wonder if I have wonder if they feel like they're in a safe position to wait. Like, this year Nintendo wasn't in a safe position to wait. In fact, they came out and made an amazing show. But last year, Sony, I think, definitely got the biggest show, especially with how to trade games with friends. That literally just made the internet blow up, and it was amazing. So I'm not surprised Sony didn't come out with a ton of, like what you're talking about. I'm surprised that I'm not surprised that they're delaying it another year, honestly.
Or at least later than now, because they do have TGS, which is in their home country, Sony's home country, and then Gamescom, which is in August, and so they could be waiting a little longer and would rather just wait until it's ready, because say maybe it's close to ready right now, but they're not going to announce it. They're just going to be like, you know what, let's just wait until the next big conference, and then we're going to be like, hey, it's ready now, or it's ready next week, or ready in 2 weeks, you could pick it up. And that'll, I think the excitement level will go so much further if they announce it and it's almost immediately ready than it will if they say, hey, you're not going to be able to get this for 4 or 5 months.
Mm-hmm.
For the record, I wasn't not putting my two information in because I didn't want to. It was because on the topic section it says Courtney Ramble JRPG blah blah blah. I wasn't sure if this is part of rambling.
No. This is Courtney is under Ramble, thank you, and Courtney is just next to JRPG.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so suck it, Lou.
But yeah, I think I agree with Landon. I think that they are in a secure position right now, and this is something that could definitely blow the internet out of the water, and they're waiting until they need to do that.
Yeah, exactly. They have had a comfortable lead for the past year, for the past 6 months, and they don't need to announce anything that could potentially hurt them, or could potentially be better. Because what if they come out and they say it's only on PS3? You know, so that's almost negative feedback because everybody wants it on PS4 now. And so if they announce that it's only on PS3 and it's not going to be available until November, everyone's going to be like, well, what the fuck? We just sold our PS3s to get a PS4. You know, by now it's probably 8 or 9 million people who have a PS4. It's just like that's almost like backstabbing us.
Right.
But that's my 2 cents on that. Anything you want to talk about, Lou?
I love this E3. This is my first E3 actually reporting it.
Yep.
And I did not love that. I liked it. It was stressful.
Did.
It was stressful in a fun, interesting way.
Exactly.
But now I totally understand what because everyone listens to, IGN or whatever other video gaming podcast you subscribe to, Giant Bomb, whatnot, and they talk about how stressful it is to be doing all this stuff, and now I start to get it. I'm really understanding what they mean by stressful, and at least they get the opportunity to sit there and play some games, and we don't necessarily do that, at least this year.
Yeah, and then at the same time, also, other websites have the ability
Manpower.
to... Yeah, I was going to say, they have the ability to have multiple people writing stories at the same time, while we had, at several times, two or three people writing stories.
Courtney, how many stories did you and I write together combined?
I'll pull that up just a second.
Please do.
Keep
I'm
talking.
actually curious. Ramble. Landon, what do you think of the show?
The entire E3?
Yeah, what did you think about it? This is the first time that you're on this side of the field, where we're starting to report on it, and we're starting to look at it with a more journalistic type of eye. What did you think of this whole process?
Well, definitely with that in mind, I realized I have to be a lot more mature when I see all these new announcements coming out, and my little giddy kid comes out, and I just start screaming, and then, it's... And so I kind of had to look at it in a different light, and that was really hard for me to control myself, especially during the Nintendo show. Well, it was amazing. I got to it late. I watched it halfway through I got there about the part with the amiibo with the little toy statues, and right. I watched the entire E3 show from then on, and I was blown away by a lot of things. One thing. I think I don't know. As far as a lot of the other titles, I found myself not having I was studying a lot more of certain games rather than all of them. So, well, there's a few games that didn't interest me at all. There's a lot of games that really interested me that I found myself going and diving to find the information on these games. There is a ton of games out, and I'm going to be dead broke by the time all these games come out. It's a great year for E3.
Yeah. Okay, so back to the question. So out of this entire week, we had 100 news stories go live. Out of that 100 stories, you and I covered 46 of them.
Nice. How much do we normally do on an average week?
On an average week, we do about 50 stories a week. Or no, about 45 probably. So we did a little more than 2 times that. And most of those came within the first 2 days.
Right. Those were the big days.
Those were the big days with all the announcements.
Right.
But yeah, so almost half of those stories were covered by just you and me, and that was just when we were scrambling to get stories done. We were like, oh my god, all these announcements, we have to cover them. That was ridiculous. But yeah.
And one other new experience I have is I think this is the first time I've actually had to sit down and try to comprehend all the games.
Oh yeah.
Normally it's just what I'm interested in, and now that I'm editing and stuff, I have to kind of have a better understanding of all the games because I'm busy reading everyone's stories.
Yep.
And I've become a walking E3 encyclopedia.
See, that's what I was kind of thinking too. It's like normally I come away from press conferences or E3 or big announcements and stuff only retaining the stuff I liked or what I thought was interesting. And now that we had all of this and we're actually in charge of running things and writing news and editing and stuff, I literally know something about almost every single game that was announced this week or that was shown, and that's crazy to me. Crazy.
Right. My little brother, one of them, came up to me earlier because he knows I do all of this stuff, and he asked me, "Hey, do you know about the E3 thing going on?" And I'm like, "Slightly, maybe." And he's like, "Oh, well, did you see the new Alien game?" And I must have rattled off like 7 games with aliens just because I had them on the top of my head. Like Alien Isolation? Are we talking Destiny? Are we talking? And he actually was not even talking about a game with. I think he was talking about like First Light or something. So I've no like I sat there listing games for about 5 minutes until I finally found one.
So I think we're recovering. Well, okay, back to that. You kind of said that it was stressful or whatever in a good way. That's kind of how I looked at it as well. That it was stressful, but it was so much fun because kind of like we said, we became these encyclopedias of E3 that we know so much about all these games now, and it's exciting to know that all these great games are coming and stuff, which also in turn leads us to what you were just asking Landon about. How did you like E3 and stuff? So do you want to ask the question that you brought up right before we started recording?
Oh, the question
Yes.
under the ramble section?
Yes.
Okay. My question is, last year was a ton of theatrics. It was when all of the, if you remember everyone listening, it was the year when, PS4, Xbox One, all those things were shown. Nintendo had a very interesting year. Was this year's E3 better than last year's E3? What do you think, Landon?
Definitely more positive. Well, little internet trolls like me thrive on little negative stuff like last year's E3. I found it entertaining, especially when Don Matrix said, "Oh, if you want to play these games offline, we have something for that. It's called an Xbox 360." We didn't see any big executives slap people in the faces that actually keep their companies running. We didn't see that. We didn't see the fight between the PlayStation and the Xbox. That was magnificent, but not in a positive way. This was a very, very positive E3. As far as games go, this year's definitely been better. But as far as like the posting millions of GIFs on a bunch of websites just to stir stuff up, last year was the best E3 in that aspect.
See, yeah. Okay, when I compare the two E3s, last year, Sony's E3 was the best, and that's basically all you could say. Nintendo really didn't show much. Microsoft had a good show, but they got slaughtered by Sony's backstabbing, and it was just like, that was fun. That was really enjoyable to be a part of and to watch and stuff like that. There were some awesome announcements and stuff, and it was the coming of age, the coming into the new age of consoles and everything. So it was exciting, but I have to agree that this year, just like you said, more positive. Every conference came out there and just threw haymakers. It was so exciting to watch each conference come out and be confident in what they were doing and be like, this is for the gamers. We're showing you new games you want to play. We're not talking about all this stupid bullshit. And so, yeah, I think this year was better as an all-around conference.
Oh,
right.
Yes.
I agree because I started off and I was like, okay, Xbox, we're starting off with Microsoft, and Microsoft said it's going to be all games, so I'm ready to have a 45-minute section about TV.
Yeah, your prediction was wrong.
Yeah, I know. They were about all games, and that blew my, well, with the exception of maybe Halo TV series,
yeah.
But I'll count that. I will. You know what? They put in as much of an effort as I can ever imagine anything putting in. And so I watched them. It was fantastic. Blew me out of the water. I wanted to get an Xbox One. I said, I don't know how PlayStation and Sony is going to match that. And they did. And I was like, okay, well, those are now the official, big two. Nintendo's kind of losing their ground. And they have been, especially at E3 for the past couple of years. And this is just going to be, a really poor note at the end of my E3 thing because I love seeing Nintendo do well. And then they came out and they might have even possibly won E3. They had a fantastic conference. And it tears me up inside that I might have to pick one to win. everyone did so great. Everyone knew what they were doing. I think everyone understands that E3 is still important in crafting media attention and crafting goodwill among gamers, especially after last year's E3. So I think this one was so focused on the consumer and the people watching it, and they definitely knew how to do it much better.
Yeah, kind of like you said about Nintendo's conference, how we were kind of skeptical about whether or not they could hold it up. It's my turn to eat crow here. I totally did not expect Nintendo's their Nintendo Direct thing to hold up and be a good conference and to be exciting and fun to watch and get me excited. And for the past, month of episodes of our podcast, I've consistently said that, or maybe even 2 or 3 months, that I don't have enough money to afford another console. There's no way I'm going to get a Wii U or a 3DS or an Xbox One anytime soon. And literally as soon as Microsoft's conference was over Monday morning, I was like, I have to buy an Xbox. I'm going to take out a loan. I'm going to sell all my shit. I'm going to get an Xbox. Got to the PlayStation conference, was like, oh my God, I'm so glad I already have a PS4. And then we got to the Nintendo conference the next morning, or the Nintendo Direct. And as soon as it was over, I was like, oh my God, I need a Wii U now. I have to get a Wii U. And thank God for one of our writers who posted a link. I don't even remember who it was. Was it you, Landon? It wasn't.
Which link?
The Wii U, the refurbished Wii U. It was,
no, that wasn't me. Actually,
it may have been Ryan, but it was one of our editors posted a link to a refurbished Wii U for $200 with a year warranty and Nintendo Land, and there was a 32 gig or whatever, $200, and I was like, I'm buying that. And so I sold my 360, sold all my 360 games, sold some PS2 games, selling some PS3 games and some PS4 games, the games that I'm never going to play again, and I'm getting a Wii U. It's already in the mail. I'm going to buy a 3DS, and I'm going to buy an Xbox One. That's like coming away from last year's E3, the only gaming console I wanted was a PS4. Because they destroyed the whole week that well, and I was like, I'm never going to get the other ones until they can impress me. And then all it took was that 24 hours from the beginning of Microsoft's conference to the end of Nintendo's to convince me that I'm getting every single console that's out there right now. So that's exciting.
Man, I'm kind of jealous.
I'm selling shit and taking loans, so it kind of hurts, but I'm going to get them.
I learned about selling all my stuff years ago, because I had a lot of good stuff like Earthbound, all the Super Nintendo Final Fantasies, stuff that would sell big on eBay today, or would have sold big 5 years ago, right?
Yeah.
And I sold it. I sold all those for a Virtual Boy. I mean, look at that.
Now, I mean, I understand that because I've gone through that as well, but I'm selling games that I know I will either never play again or that I'm going to get on the HD remake. Like The Last of Us, I'm selling it. Far Cry 3, I've already platinumed it. There's no way I'm going to play it. There's a game that's going to come out, Far Cry 4, this year, so it's I'm not going to go back and play that. Castlevania, never going to play again. Tomb Raider, I can get it on PS4, so why keep it on PS3? It's just all these games that I know I'm not going to play, and so I might as well get rid of them. And I haven't even turned on my 360 in over a year, so
cheap Christmas presents.
Exactly. But so moving on from that, I guess I want to talk a little bit about Uncharted 4 real quick. We talked about it a little bit, I believe, towards the very end of the PlayStation part of QuickTime event this week. But yeah, so my point that I was trying to make, I think I was making on the podcast, was that I believed that this is going to be Naughty Dog's last Uncharted game, and it may be Nathan Drake's last game, blah, 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 blah. Well, apparently Nolan North came out and said the same thing, and so now everybody's totally on that train and yeah, we totally agree. That's the way it sounded. And I was like, man, I was saying that Monday night when it aired, come on, guys. But so yeah, the trailer is actually, now that we have a little bit more information, is that Nathan Drake is retired before the game, and that he comes out of retirement for something. Him and Sully want to do something. But yeah, so how would you feel if, I guess I'm specifically asking Lou because Landon, you haven't played the series, but how would you feel if it is the last Uncharted game, or is just Naughty Dog's last?
This is actually something we spoke on in the last QTE. I think specifically this question, and I'll repeat it, it's because I think it's important, is I think that as a developer, Naughty Dog acts like a phoenix. I
remember that.
Right. I said that what happens is that they make a great franchise, and they really just bring everything out of it. Crash Bandicoot was amazing at the time it was, and then they killed it. And then Jak and Daxter came out. It was Naughty Dog made this completely new series and went through it and killed it. Then they made Uncharted and The Last of Us, and they're going to have to kill that eventually too. But what we're going to see next is going to be something even better than that.
Yep.
So I'm okay with it, and I'm sure that if any other studio takes it, it's probably gonna go to somewhat capable hands, unlike Crash Bandicoot.
Yeah. Hopefully it will, and I hope they don't even follow Drake anymore. If it's going to be Uncharted, switch it up or something.
Well, with who or what?
You can't have Nolan North forever. Or you might have to switch voice actors, go to a younger Drake or something.
How about young Sully?
Young Sully, that'd be cool.
I don't know. Hugh Jackman's been Wolverine for more than 15 years. It could happen.
True. But, okay. Prediction then, Lou. How does it end? With it being... Oh, excuse me. With the title being A Thief's End, that's clearly referring to Drake. It's his end somehow. How do they end the series?
It's going to be I'm gonna give it like a Batman ending. Like they make it out to show like he dies. He doesn't actually die. He just retires with Elena somewhere.
And then he shows up and Sully sees him at a bar and they're like,
yeah, exactly,
in Mexico or something.
And then the whole internet speculates whether or not Sully was hallucinating.
Yeah, or whether or not there's going to be another Uncharted game someday.
Right.
That's a good one. But I'm kind of referring to. Okay, so you're saying that you think that it's going to look like he dies.
Right.
You think that's how it's going to end. That we're going to, for at least a brief moment there, we're going to think that Drake dies at the very end of it until it shows him showing up at the end.
Right. I think the note of the game, of the series in general, is too comedic to take a really nasty turn.
See, I don't know about that. With Neil and Bruce being the directors on it, they took Uncharted 2 in a different direction. It was a little bit, it's the darkest in the series still. And the fact that they're taking this right after The Last of Us, I think that, honestly, they wanted to kill people or they wanted to do some brutal stuff, which could have been why Amy left, which could have been why everybody else left. That they wanted to end the Uncharted series and everybody else didn't want to let go of it yet. Or they didn't want to do some of the dark things they're going to do.
And that could be it, but I think if they do that, I think that would be inappropriate to the series.
I kind of think everybody's ready for it. I'm not saying that they're going to kill off Drake or they're going to kill off Elena or anything like that. Honestly, if it's going to end, I think they're going to put Drake into some serious situations, probably with Elena, and they're probably going to get hurt or come close to dying several times, and maybe even lose Sully, and it's going to convince Drake, it's officially time to hang it up. He's like, he can't lose Elena or he can't do that to her because he was wearing the wedding ring in the trailer. So right. You could tell that they're still together. And so I think that's A Thief's End is he's gonna hang it up somehow because he's gonna be convinced that it's just way too dangerous now or it's way too much or something. But then again, They could kill Elena.
Right.
But yeah.
Yeah, so. I don't think it's gonna carry a similar tone like Tomb Raider did. Like I think they have to at least keep the spirit of it, have like a few jokes here and there and one-liners and quippy, and I think that's hard to do with that tone. And you know what? If it's Naughty Dog doing it, then I think they could do it if they really wanted to. And yeah, maybe that is what drove away.
Even The Last of Us had comedic moments, like the joke.
You mean the pun jokes?
Yes. Oh my god.
Those were awful.
Some of the best ever. Come on, that was great.
I love that they had it in there, but everyone, I was just like, oh my god, please end.
Okay. So, anything else you guys want to talk about?
As for Uncharted, I think that's good.
Yeah. I was meaning anything else. Like, other than Uncharted.
Oh, I think he's crazy. I think that something has happened to Drake, and he's clinically insane at this point.
Okay.
No, that's my serious prediction, because when I watch it, and when I still watch it, it sounds like Sully died, maybe something really traumatic happened
No
between
way.
Sully, and it looks like
Did you
Drake.
rewatch it when I told you to?
Yeah.
Because I think you're the one hallucinating.
No, because it seems like Drake is having a conversation in his head with Sully, and he's reacting to it as if Sully's actually right there, talking to him. So I think that, I think that there's a chance that it's him 10 years later. Maybe he's like 10 years lost. It's a Castaway kind of situation.
Oh man, I just can't even take you serious. Like, come on, it's a teaser trailer. It's introducing the story. It's introducing the title, and so it's got to give you some kind of a voiceover to lead you into what is the game going to be about. And so that's why he's talking with Sully about one last time. Come on, kid. Let's do this. Blah blah blah. The danger. Blah blah blah. All that stuff.
All right, we'll see.
I think that's just the intro to give us a little bit of a hint about what the story's going to be about. And then the part where he wakes up and gets up is actually in-game, in-level, which is beautiful, by the way. Dear God. He's just waking up on an island, which probably is going to be a shipwreck. He's probably washed up on shore, or he fell off of a cliff and he's waking up, or something like that has happened. And that's on this new island or wherever it is, which he's going to go and he's going to find out that there's crazy stuff going on like he always does. But
Landon, what do you think? You just watched the trailer. Do you think that there is a chance that that he's gone insane and that he's hearing Sully's voice, or do you think that it's just standard trailer intro sequence where we have voiceover and he's reacting?
Ooh, I love the idea of slipping into madness. Always brings in very unique perspectives of people, like kind of like Killer 7, if you remember that. Or is that kind of what you mean? Like he's hearing Sully's voice and is going to start losing it, and not in a Killer 7 type of way, super extreme. But I think that's more like it. I think that's a very captivating idea for a story. Even though I don't know much about the game, but that's the way I would go.
Drake loses his mind and kills himself. A thief's end.
Well, he killed.
Oh my God!
I actually think I was listening to you guys. My prediction of that, a thief's end. He's just not going to be a thief anymore. He's going to be sitting in Guantanamo Bay.
Oh,
I don't know about that, but I just think he's going to have to end his life. He's going to have to end that life or end his life.
Yeah, he's going to hang it up. I think he's going to hang it up.
I think he's just going to hang it up, yeah.
Move to a foreign country with Elena and be happy, because that's Uncharted is an action movie series, is what it is. And so action movies typically don't have bad endings. None of the Uncharted games have, and so that's how I think it's going to happen. Is it's going to have that happy ending where something crazy happened during the story and it's going to convince them to just hang it up.
Or they do a Mass Effect 3 thing before DLC.
Oh, God. Okay. So anyway,
running bets thing on my computer.
Yeah.
And because we make a ton of bets on this. This is going to be the first one in here. Is Uncharted 4 Madness versus Sanity.
Versus Sanity. Okay. All right. So let's move on. We have a few questions that we should talk about. Okay, so what did you like most about each conference? We kind of talked about that, but let's pick like something specifically about each conference, not a game, but something they did or something that changed from last year, something that was just really interesting that you liked. So, Landon.
Well, let's see. The only entire show I've watched is the Nintendo one.
Yeah.
As far as the other two, I don't know what happened in the show besides just the games they showed. But the Nintendo one, we were talking about this earlier with the Robot Chicken clips.
Yeah.
At first I'm like, is that Robot Chicken? And I'm like, holy crap, it's Robot Chicken. Because I don't know if they announced it that they were going to do Robot Chicken clips at the start.
They did.
Okay. But yeah, I think those of us who have watched it were like, oh, Robot Chicken, that's kind of cool. I wish they would do like a Robot Chicken Nintendo episode like they did with the Star Wars. They could run on that for years, I believe. That was pretty unique. I don't know. Like sometimes Nintendo they've done things a little weird, as far as their presentations go. So I wasn't really surprised about any of that. I'd say the one different thing was definitely the Robot Chicken.
That was, definitely an awesome thing. Since you brought up Nintendo, we might as well just all go around. I don't know. I liked the fact that They showed games I'm interested in, and the Robot Chicken thing, at first I thought was really stupid. Like at the very beginning, I was like, "What the hell? Like, come on! Like, how low can they go?" And then as it went on, the clips there was a few funny ones in there, and I thought that was really really cute in a sense. But yeah, it was the fact that they literally came out there and spent like 5 minutes on each game, and they just went bang, bang, bang. Here's all these awesome games. Here's some really cool games. And then gave release dates or release windows and stuff like that, and just weren't like, hey, we're working on this, but we have no idea when it's coming out. And then there were some surprises in there, like Bayonetta coming with Bayonetta 1 also. Like, I mean, those were awesome.
Oh, that was great because I played. See, I borrowed the first Bayonetta when I played it, and I'm so stoked for the second one. See, and I get to own that. Now, is that going to be an HD remake, or is that going to be the exact same version of the first one?
Well, it's
I
already
actually wrote
HD.
the story. No, I wrote the story. They're adding things to it.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, really? Like what?
They're adding some Nintendo content. Like if you go and watch it, they show off Bayonetta 1, and they, they'll have, I forget, what's her name? Bayonetta? Is that what we call her?
No idea. I've never.
Can't remember.
Okay. Well, anyway, Bayonetta. They show her wearing Link's outfit, or they show her wearing the Samus stuff, and opening chests, and they don't really explain what kind of Nintendo content they're throwing in there, but it looks like Platinum Games had free reign to use whatever they wanted.
Huh, that's kind of interesting. So they're kind of doing like what they did with Tekken, letting you dress up your characters like Nintendo characters.
The way that they're showing it makes it look like it may even be a little bit more like that. Like think a little bit in between that and Hyrule Warriors, where they're letting them, pull some, use stuff of gameplay from the gameplay. Like they show them. I don't remember if it was doing puzzles or opening chests. I would just go take a look at the trailer. It looked like some actually cool stuff, and I have Bayonetta 2 and Bayonetta 1, and I was planning on playing that before Bayonetta 2 came here, and it actually made me want to sit here and wait it out.
So then what was your favorite part of the Nintendo conference, Lou?
My favorite part of the Nintendo conference was Nintendo came out and actually proved to me why they want and need to do a digital event over a normal press conference. I was actually...
Are you talking about the language thing and stuff like that?
The language thing, how just entertaining it was, because they did stuff that I don't think would work well if they were doing it in front of the press conference. Yeah, like that whole section where Iwata was fighting with Reggie, like I thought that was such a cool thing to introduce Smash Bros. And really set a good note to what the entertainment factor of the digital event was going to be.
Now,
so,
I mean, yeah. I agree with you, but at the same time, other conferences have shown that they could come out and do live shows with the few people who come out and talk, and then they show videos of stuff like that. So, like, I feel like it could have been Reggie on the stage, and then maybe a few other people who speak good English coming out to announce the trailers and the things that come up. Say like the Reggie versus Iwata thing or whatever that popped up. Like they could have shown that on all the big screens at the same time as having Reggie actually there as a conference, as a live conference or whatever. But I mean, I'm not arguing that the direct wasn't good, because it was. But I just think that could have still been done live.
I think it could have been done live, but I think it was more entertaining to have everything a little more condensed, to have it run from spot to spot, because it left me really wanting more. And at the time, I wasn't sure if it was in a good way or a bad way, but everything was so smooth. I don't think it would have been that way if it was okay. And now we're here. Now I'm coming here to introduce the next person, to introduce another game, even though the developer can't be here for this reason.
Yeah.
Like it seemed like I was watching a 45-minute, TV show, and one that I was glued to.
For sure. Okay, so let's move on then.
Okay.
What about the other conferences? Since you and I were the only ones to watch the other two, let's go Microsoft. What was your favorite thing about Microsoft's?
My favorite thing was that they proved me wrong, and they stuck to all games, and I was floored by that. I thought there's no way they were going to do it, and it's what kept them in my top spot for the best conference.
Yeah, when we voted on it on the QT last time.
Right.
Which you guys should all listen to if you haven't. QuickTime Event episode 3. Mine, you want to know what my favorite part of Microsoft's conference? What
was it?
It was the fact that Phil Spencer changed shirts every announcement.
Did he really?
Like, come on, was that not awesome? Yeah, in between every single announcement, when he would leave the stage and he would come back, it was always a new shirt with another Microsoft game that's coming out.
Can we just say we love Phil Spencer?
Phil Spencer is fucking awesome. I am so glad he took over head of Xbox or games or whatever. Like, he has a stage presence that is unlike Don, that is unlike anything Microsoft has put out there. And they couldn't have picked a better guy.
Right.
So yeah, my favorite part of the conference was Phil Spencer. He came out there and made me want an Xbox One.
Yeah,
that's true. I would have to agree. The few things I did see, I did want an Xbox One after this show. And it was a lot nicer not seeing Don up there giving us all the middle finger like, you want to get online, you have to do or you want to play Xbox One, it has to be online. That whole crap,
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to agree. He did a really good job.
That was awesome. Okay, so then favorite part of the PlayStation conference, Lou?
My favorite part of the place, I think for me, PlayStation was the weakest. But when I say the weakest, I mean the least amazing, and most everything was amazing in every sense. I'm not someone who thinks that there was a problem with the Morpheus and this and that. I think my
explanation part.
Right. I think my biggest issue was they just lacked some announcements that really kind of blew us out of the water. I think a lot.
Okay, sorry. I want to interrupt you when you say us. They didn't blow you out of the water. Other people they did. Some people, Sony's conference was the very best because some of their announcements were like, "Oh my god, that is absolutely my favorite." You were just more impressed with Microsoft and Nintendo's.
I think there were more surprises from Microsoft and Nintendo. That might just be because of what my expectations were for Sony. And I mean, if it. Oh wait, we're talking about what we like the best. Right?
Yeah, what you like the best about.
Why am I complaining?
I don't even know.
What I like the best, and I think this is something that that Sony absolutely blew the other two out of the water. Equal time to games.
Wait, what? Sorry. You cut out.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
We're good. Okay. Giving equal time to games.
Okay.
I think that it was awesome that they would show Uncharted 4 and then they give an equal segment to Entwined, which is, a $10 throwaway kind of indie game. And I think that they really knew how to highlight not only the AAA stuff, but, other big titles that they wanted to show.
Grim Fandango and
exactly.
Entwined, and then a DLC for Infamous and the Little Big Planet and No Man's Sky and
they catered to every type of gamer, I think. Okay.
My favorite part of the PlayStation conference, that's kind of split into two. It's really hard to pick because I was one of the people who did enjoy the middle part where they were explaining stuff that we wanted to know about. But I really, really, really enjoyed that Shuhei got to come out and announce Bloodborne. It's kind of like, he's become the big Sony guy for all the fans. And the fact that he got to come out again, just like last year, even though last year was him playing a game on stage, this year he got to come out and finally he got to announce a game. And so that was really cool to see him come out there and do that. And then my other one that I'm kind of torn on, which I would choose also, would be the fact that they ended with Uncharted 4. That was just kicking in the door, bam, here it fucking is. It was just that was the game everybody wanted to know about other than The Last Guardian. And they ended with such a big title. That was an awesome moment to end on.
Right.
But, yeah. So, okay, so then what were each of our top 3 games shown? Landon, you want to start us off? You have 3?
I do. The first one is Smash Brothers. I love Smash Brothers. I absolutely hate the amount of time Nintendo likes to tell us, here's Smash Brothers. It's not going to be released for 3.5 years. Torture yourselves. That's kind of how I felt with Brawl and kind of this one. I don't know how long I can't remember how long ago they announced it. I've purposely tried to stay away from all the announcements until E3 about Smash Brothers because I did that with Brawl, and the wait was just absolutely horrible. So I was excited. The new Zelda, oh my gosh. I just want to take like 50 swords and cut down all that damn grass that they showed. Did you guys not think about that?
Yeah,
Like,
I totally did.
like, holy hell, that thing's got to be loaded with rupees. I'm so going to unload that thing. That's the first thing I thought. Like, oh my gosh, I cannot wait for this game. The Zelda looked amazing. The only reason I wouldn't say it was my favorite is because it got so little time. They showed us so little. Yet again, like how many people out there said this is the greatest? This looks like the greatest Zelda. It looked really shiny.
Yeah.
Yeah. As far as the third game, I've been kind of torn. The new Metal Gear Solid: The Phantom Pain. That looks amazing. I love the song. I loved the song they played in the background for that. It set the mood just great. I was a little I wasn't confused. I was a little bothered by him spreading the ashes of his fallen friends all over his face. You know, but that definitely kind of shows that definitely kind of, you know, it's I don't know, is it like a good foreshadow for what's to come later in the game? Like, he's lost everyone he knows, or all his friends, and now he's going to go into another one hell of an amazing fight. That's just, let's hope it's not only 5 hours long this time.
Mm-hmm.
That's my only. I haven't played the other one, but I've heard many times. That makes me mad when games are too short. But anyway, so yeah, especially good ones like that. You know, it's like The Wolf Among Us. Oh my gosh, it's amazing, but they're so short.
Yeah, they are.
Just like I would put it like that. So on a third, I would have to say Metal Gear Solid.
Okay.
Even though I'm a huge hardcore Nintendo and PC fan, that just looked amazing to me.
Okay. Lou, what about you? What are your top 3 games shown?
All right, at spot number 3, I'm going to go with Sunset Overdrive.
Ooh, yeah.
That looked great. And you know what? There are a lot that are fighting for 3. I mean, I loved looking at Entwined. I loved looking at No Man's Sky and Destiny. But I don't know. I'm just really jonesing to play Sunset Overdrive. It's really been able to sell me lately. My number 2 spot goes to the Master Chief Collection.
Yes. Okay.
Ooh,
that
was.
Yeah, I mean, we just had a large debate in our private group chat about why that game is so special. Because it is a remake. And it's a surprising thing for me that I would put that neck and neck against other things that because I'm normally not a fan of remakes, but that is just such a fantastic deal that they're throwing at people. And really what you're getting it for is a steal. I think they could charge $100 for it and people would buy it. And my top game is Legend of Zelda. It looked fantastic, and they made all the right announcements. When I was covering that, once again in our private chat, when we were trying to pick out what we're going to cover for E3 announcements, when they announced that and they were leading up to it and they were saying how they don't think the previous Zeldas have been open world enough and how they're aspiring to be more like Wind Waker. I was like, whatever follows this is going to be the best announcement of E3, hands down. They could just drop the mic. And, you know, announcing that it's going to be an open world game that you can walk to any part of the map that you can see, like, that is so awesome as a Zelda fan to hear.
The fact that they could design new mission and quest structures and story structure around open world.
Right, and puzzles, and, you know, they said that they're going to try and keep the same way that you interact with the environment, except just move it to an open world structure. And it blew my mind, that announcement. I wasn't expecting something that cool, or to hear that. I was expecting certainly the video and seeing the art style, but I don't think they were going to go out and announce how they're going to start shaping the game.
Okay.
So I can already tell that this is going to be like my most anticipated game for the next couple of years.
Yeah, until it finally comes out.
I just hope with the whole open world thing that if you decide to venture off onto more dangerous spots than what your wooden sword and 3 hearts can take you, right? If you want to truly, I like that idea. Like, I hope that if you choose to do that they make it insanely difficult for those who are incredibly hardcore players. I think you could do that with Zelda 1 with a bunch of the levels, and it was really hard. I did that a couple of times, and it was so fun. It's a great option. But I really hope that they make it like Dark Souls. If you choose to go that path, you're going to get your ass beat many times. Because obviously, if you go through there and it's going to be easy, there's going to be no really good reward system.
Right.
It needs to, but the whole open world Zelda thing, that just got me all sorts of giddy.
The only thing that they still need to announce for it that would just make everything worthwhile is if they announce that they're putting difficulty settings in.
Oh, yeah.
I hope so.
I'd be so okay with that. But anyway, that's my 3. How about you, Courtney?
Okay. I've been kind of debating about my 3 because I have like 5 or 6 games that I'm really excited about. So I've been debating which ones I want to actually put in 3 and which ones are actually going to take the 3, like which one's going to be in each spot. But I think I've come down to my number 3 is the Master Chief Collection. Okay. And simply because that's what sold me on getting an Xbox One. You know, like I'm really excited about Sunset Overdrive and some of the other games that were shown, but Master Chief Collection, like the fact that it's coming with Halo 2 with its original online and everything, I just literally hard on, oh my god.
Oh, those were the glory days of multiplayer. Was Halo 2. I remember I went into a lot of debt to pay for good internet during 6 months of one semester just so I could play Halo 2 against other people. And it was an absolute riot.
It was awesome.
Halo 2 not only was one of the best Halo stories among all of them, but in my opinion, Halo 2, just being the Arbiter, being the Arbiter was the one thing in Halo I wish they would turn back to. Having that option to just be that one critter that can just go invisible for a little bit. Because, do you guys remember that? That was my favorite part of Halo 2. And I was always really critical against the other Halos that you could still only be Master Chief after that. I mean, you could be Arbiter in Halo 3, but it really wasn't as much of this as a big a part of the story as he was in 2. This is huge to me. And the HD remake for the first Halo was awesome, which I've understood that it's getting the same treatment. Also, some of the multiplayer maps for Halo 2 are still by far my favorites. There's only one map from Halo Reach. I'm trying to remember what it was called. But it's the only map I thought that was better than any of the Halo 2 maps. It's 100+ maps plus 4 games and what is it? $60?
Yeah, it's $60. Steal. That is a steal, and oh man, I cannot wait. But yeah, so that's my number 3. And then my number 2 is my number 1 from last year, and it's The Witcher 3.
I mean for this year?
No, it was the number 1 from last year.
Okay.
I was most excited about it last year after E3, and then now it's number 2 this year for me. I am still so excited about The Witcher, and everything I saw was incredible. The gameplay, the cinematics, what they talked about, freaking ridiculous game. I cannot wait. They said if you beat it in 100 hours, that's a speed run. Mm-hmm. What? I can't. What? No, 100 hours for a speed run? Oh man, I can't wait. So excited. But I'm also a huge Witcher fan. I read the books and everything, so. But and then my number 1 goes back to my favorite thing about the Sony conference, Shuhei coming out and announcing Bloodborne. Oh my god, that game looks fantastic. I've seen the leaked trailer, which I wrote a story on today, that was supposed to be out at Gamescom last year or TGS last year, one or the other. I can't even remember now. But it was a trailer, and that was when it was still Project Beast, and they decided not to show it. It's on our website if you want to find it. And then I've seen the new trailer that was announced this year, and I've seen a demo played also. And that game, it looks like a faster version of a Dark Souls game or something. It looks so fun, and it looks scary, and it just looks intense, and I cannot wait to play it. Once that trailer was over, I knew that was my number 1 game. Are you guys excited about Bloodborne at all?
It looks awesome. Yeah, it does look awesome. I think you're right. It does look like a faster Dark Souls, which Dark Souls, gets me excited. It looks good. I'm hoping I own a PS4 by the time that game comes out.
Yeah, that's another part about it, the fact that it was a PS4 exclusive. I was like, oh my god, that is so awesome. I just can't even. Okay, so the next question is, what unknown game announced, or what unknown game before E3 that was announced are you most excited about now?
So you're saying the one you're most excited that was announced during E3?
Yeah, that you had no idea about before E3, but now has been announced. Which one are you most excited about now?
Ooh.
Or most excited about that's been announced?
Come back to me in a minute.
Yeah, you go first on this.
I have a feeling what you Nintendo people are going to say.
Go ahead.
I'm not going to say.
Obviously the Zelda. I mean, that was...
No, that was known.
announced.
That was known.
Really?
Yeah, everybody knew that there was a Zelda game.
Well, I didn't. I was out in the middle of nowhere.
Ah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, okay. Yes. No, I don't know. Keep going. Sorry.
Okay, so my number one is it's hard to tell. I'm always torn between things. But one was in the Microsoft. No, it's not even Microsoft. It was the end of the Ubisoft conference, Rainbow Six Siege. That game looked fucking awesome. I am so excited about that game. I'm not a Rainbow Six fan. I used to be a big first-person shooter fan. I've grown kind of out of it. I still enjoy them. I enjoy them more when there's a cooler aspect of it other than just, oh, we're a first-person shooter. And this looks like that. It's a strategic game where, a team of 5 is holding somebody hostage in a house or in a building, and you have a team of 5, and you have to figure out a way to break in and kill them all or subdue them all and get the hostage back. And you have, like, shit that can blow up walls and ceilings and floors and stuff like that. And you have all kinds of grenades, and you guys can kind of see through walls and stuff. And, like, it just looks like a badass tactical first-person shooter. And they said that the online matches only last like 3 to 4 minutes. And so like it's a really fast action-paced game once it gets going. And I just think that is going to be really exciting to play opposite of a game like Call of Duty and stuff. I think this will be a much more fun game to play. And then my other one would be Fantasy Life, the 3DS game by Level 5. I am a huge Level 5 fan. And that game, I thought it was silly at first when I first heard about it, and then I watched the trailer and read up on it, and it looks like a fun little 3DS game, and I will give it a chance because it's a Level 5 game. So, but those are my two.
All right.
Luke?
Well,
Luke?
I got one.
Okay.
And I want to know what you think I'm going to say.
I already wrote it on our doc if you were paying attention.
Oh, no, I wasn't paying attention to the doc. I was too busy finding the name of it.
No, I figured you guys would say Splatoon.
No, I was not going to say Splatoon, though. Splatoon does look really cool.
Shout out to, who was it that wanted us to mention it? It was Dustin. Shout out to Dustin. Splatoon. We know that's your number one.
Keep going, sir.
My number one is Phantom Dust, actually.
Phantom Dust. Did you read up more on it? Because on our QTE, you had no idea what it was.
I thought that was Crackdown. I had no idea.
No, I think both of them, you were like, I've never heard of either of these or whatever. What are they?
Well, you know what? I still don't know it necessarily the most. I looked at the Wikipedia synopsis of the series and all that, but I just remember seeing that trailer and going, that is a game that I would want to play.
Because I know you mentioned that it looked like Infamous, I believe.
Yeah, to me, and it did look like Infamous, like Xbox Infamous, but yeah, that seemed like the most interesting thing that I had no clue was coming out.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Go ahead, Landon. What are yours?
Well, okay. First of all, I was expecting a Grand Theft Auto 5 release for PC. I was not expecting it for Xbox One and PlayStation 4.
Ooh,
I was very pleased to hear that because I'm very excited to play through that game again. Even start another online profile. Well, that's probably not my most excited. I would definitely have to say the Halo 2 or the Master Chief package. I mean, holy crap. That blew my mind.
Yeah.
I truly was. I'm looking at all these other games. Some were surprising. Some were like, that looks awesome. But that one looked amazing, especially for the price. I'm like, holy crap. I'm so getting that. It's probably the only game that was there that wasn't Nintendo that I told myself I'm so going to buy that when it comes out. Yeah, I was really happy for it.
Now, like, I also think that, Scalebound looks pretty cool. Still have no idea what it is. Just that little short trailer. Do you remember that one, Lou?
Wait, which one?
The Scalebound, the one with the guy in between the two giant
No,
monsters.
that's the one that I could not remember.
Yeah, you need to look up the trailer for that one. It's a guy and like he's fighting this giant dragon, and then this other monster comes up behind him, and he kind of just like, what the fuck, you know? And then he winks at the dragon as it blows fire, and he dodges it or whatever, and then he puts on some like Beats headphones, and then like it transforms
Oh, do you know
into
what?
this like,
I remember that.
full
'cause I remember
body
the
suit or
Beats.
whatever, and he starts like flying on the dragon to attack other monsters. I was like, what the fuck is going on? That was incredible.
I remember it only because I remember the beats.
Yeah.
And I remember being really confused, like, what is Dre doing there?
What is he doing in this world? Okay, so do you have any other games that you wanted to mention, Landon?
Oh, about like ones I was really happy for.
Well, that were unannounced.
Oh, that were unannounced. The Fantasy Life level. I saw level 5. I'm like, oh my gosh, please. You know, and the first thing I thought was, please let this be in English. Was it Nino Kuni? What was the last one they did?
Nino Kuni.
Yeah, Nino Kuni. Like, I had a friend who bought that, you know, and his girlfriend helped him translate the whole thing from beginning to end. I was so angry because I really, really wanted to play that one.
Mm-hmm.
It came with so many awesome little toys with it, too. So I would say, as far as another one I was really happy with. Another little small thing, you can be a combo now you're going to be able to be combo for the Killer Instinct. Oh my gosh, there's a lot of reasons I have now to buy an Xbox One. I didn't have many until this week.
Yeah.
And that truly is one of them. He was the only character I could beat the original Killer Instinct on the hardest difficulty. I tried with Riptor, I tried with Saberwolf, Fulgor, all these other characters I did really well with, but when I learned combo, man, he had some killer moves. It was really fast, and so I'm really stoked. I loved how they are portraying him in his artwork. So yeah, especially now, isn't that a free game but the characters are DLC? Isn't that right?
I think that's the way Killer Instinct works. Yeah.
Okay, because I would buy it just for combo. You know, that's the only character I'm going to use anyway. Maybe Orchid now and then, but
okay.
Yeah.
So then, what?
Can I throw one more out there?
Yeah, go ahead.
sure.
I love the Mario Maker.
Oh God.
Oh gosh,
Yeah,
that's right.
That was leaked, but that was fucking awesome.
Right, that is my my 10-year-old self's like dream and everything I've ever wanted in a Nintendo game. I remember just sitting there going, why don't they make a game where you just make your own Mario levels? I think everyone said that like year after year. I can't believe they actually did it though.
Oh, you can even ask Ben. Like, I've done this before in the past. There's a lot of game editors, like for ROMs, SNES ROMs, NES ROMs. Like even for I remember the original Mario Brothers emulators and Mario 2 emulators were awful. Even the there's a Mario 3 emulator I found, and it was really fun. But making Nintendo levels for your friends to play, it's just really fun. It gets really addicting. So I was jumping up and down when I saw that, because now you can play it without the worry of viruses going on your computer from some unknown file.
See, okay, when that trailer was going, I was like, this looks really cool, making classic Mario games. I might be interested in this. And then it showed that it could go from new graphics to old graphics, and then I was sold. Like instantly. I was like, "Oh my god, I can make new Mario levels and old Mario levels?" Oh no.
So how many of us, this is what I see, how many of us are going to buy this and like send it back and forth to each other and be like, "Hey, I'll give you $1 if you can beat this level."
Exactly.
And just have it be some asinine piece of shit level that you would see from like the Lost levels. Just something that's in the way, you're like, "Holy crap, so I have to jump on the springboard that makes you go like 20 times higher, but you're still like 50 feet short when you get to the end." Yeah, I can see just tons of hellish levels being built from this.
Okay, so then moving on, what was the worst game shown? What do you guys think?
This is an easy one.
I have an easy one too.
Okay.
All right, then Lou, start us off.
I want to hear Landon's first because he probably has a different one than both of us.
Okay.
I probably do. I've been pretty I'm pretty passionate when it comes to like past game developers just ruining games or game characters, especially when Rareware made when they made Perfect Dark Zero.
Yeah.
That angered me. That's a franchise. Like Rareware was it was a company that was set in stone to be like one of the greatest video game makers of all time, which they've made some crazy awesome games that are still unforgettable. But when they made that game, I lost all my faith in it, and then I was completely crushed when I saw Project Spark. Okay, this is me. Okay, great, you can make your own game. So what? There's a bunch of other games that can do that. It didn't really interest me. And then at the end, they have this really shitty digital Conker, which is worse quality than the original N64 Conker. I could have slapped the shit out of someone. I was so angry because I love Conker. Conker 64 is one of my most beloved games I hold in my heart because it's so raunchy. And then they just take it and like, the first thing I said was like, what the hell is this shit? Seriously, I was angry because that Conker was the absolute crappiest overnight job of programming that someone did. It was horrible. I was so. Do you guys agree with me on this?
Oh yeah, not as the worst, but yeah, I agreed that it was horrible.
I consider it the worst because they took one of my favorite video game characters and bastardized him. So
okay, Lou, what about you?
Mine, and you know what? I'm not picking anything too controversial here. I remember just like groaning as they showed the whole thing. It was EA Sports UFC. I remember I was like, make it end. Like, not only does no one care about this, but it was just so, like, whoever was playing it was awful, or the game looks awful, and I was just like, please, I'm so done with this.
Did you write the story on it too?
Oh, I did, yeah, and I had to watch that trailer again.
So that's one DLC Bruce Lee, like 20 other games before us have done. We are unoriginal. Isn't that the one that had Bruce Lee as one of the fighters?
Yeah.
Oh
Yes,
my gosh. I mean, that's cool. Bruce Lee was an awesome dude, but...
And they had a cool intro to it, too. Like, you know, kind of led up to him, like, oh, do you know what? Maybe this will kind of be interesting. They did the whole, like, Bruce Lee speech where he did the thing about water. And I really like that as an inspirational speech. And they showed it, and I was like, it looks awful. That hardly looks like Bruce Lee. It just looks like some Asian dude. And I didn't like any of it.
Fair enough. A lot like everything else, I'm not good at deciding on one. I have two. One was Abzu, just because.
What is Abzu?
What is that? What kind of games are you finding? What E3 were you at?
It was during the PlayStation conference, if I'm not mistaken. Sony E3. Yep. It's the AB stands for water, Zoo stands for no, and it's like this fucking dude swimming in water. And like, so it's an artistic game. So a lot like what was the Journey, a lot like that or whatever. It's made by Giant Squid, and it's just like, I was like, no, this is not for me. That's one of them. And then the other one is Shape Up, the Ubisoft game.
Do you know what? I got one more too.
Where they were doing push-ups and they were putting stuff on their back on the camera and everything. I'm like, what the fuck is this? We're making working out exciting. I'm like, no, you're not. You're making it fucking stupid. Oh god, that game was just like ridiculous. Like, no.
Right. I have one more, and Landon, you might have seen this. I don't know if you would have seen it, Courtney.
Okay.
But did you see Miyamoto's games or projects that he's working on?
Which one?
I think you mentioned this during the
critique.
I remember it.
The project it was Project Giant Robot and Project Guard, and since they said that he's working on a new thing, that Steam game. I'm not exactly sure what it's called. Project Steam something, but I went and watched Project Giant Robot, and they had an hour segment dedicated to it, and it looks like a very, very slow paced action giant robot game where they're really trying to find something for you to use the gamepad for, and I don't know if, Miyamoto's just kind of out of the game or lost, or if they came to him like desperate and said, please, in the next week, make something that looks like we're utilizing the gamepad. But like, everyone was there awkwardly. It didn't look like a fun game. It didn't look like anyone was having fun. They were just kind of clapping because Miyamoto was there and introducing everything. And I felt so bad watching it because I love Miyamoto as a cultural icon, but someone really needs to take his soapbox away if these are the games that he's going to create, like this and Steel Diver.
Yeah, because his in the past, his E3, I love the guy, but his E3 the crap he did at E3 and since the live broadcast have been kind of embarrassing.
Can we bring up Devil's Third also? God, that game looked horrible.
I don't know. I don't know. On the fence.
I watched that trailer and when it was announced, and I was like, "What the fuck is this?" I don't know. I thought that looked stupid.
You know, I think it looks stupid, but then again, I'm not the kind of person that'll go out and buy Ninja Gaiden or Dead or Alive.
Yeah, see, me either.
So that's made by the person who created Dead or Alive. It's made by the person who brought back Ninja Gaiden. If you're that type of person who goes out and gets those games, then this might be like something great for you. It's not one for me, so I can't sit there and judge it too much.
Yeah,
it looks really out of place, though. I'll give it that.
It did. Okay, so the final topic that we need to talk about is what was the Middle of Nowhere Gaming game of the show, and we posed the question to everybody in the group. We had everybody put in their top 2 or 3 favorites. We narrowed it down to the top 3 most nominated, and then we had everybody vote on the most, or we had everybody vote on those top 3, and the results came in as Middle of Nowhere Gaming's game of show is Legend of Zelda Wii U. So,
can I explain this a bit?
Go ahead.
All right. For those listening, I already know what you're going to say, that there was nothing really shown for Legend of Zelda Wii U. How is it the game of the show? You guys got to remember, if you follow the website, if you follow us, we were not at E3 this year. We're a new group. We can get E3 passes. We weren't sure whether we'd still be big by the time E3 came around, and we know by next year that we're going to do it. But since we didn't go to E3, we didn't get to demo games, and we didn't get to play through these titles. And what we're judging these games are is how big of an impact did the announcement have?
Their presence during
what was the presence?
Trailers and
how, did it stop people in their tracks and go, "Oh my god." It for us, or at least a lot of us, it was, the announcement, and the announcement that it was going to be open world, and seeing the graphics engine and all of that, because a lot of us lost our minds over it. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the internet lost their minds over it. So I know that there wasn't a lot shown, but next year we'll probably pick something more demo-y.
Okay. So, but yeah. So that's we're gonna move on to a few listener questions. I say, okay. So Johnny asked some questions. A few
Johnny
of them,
from Podcast Beyond.
Johnny from Podcast Beyond. Shout out. Yeah, we can. I think we can save number 1 and number 2 for next week, and actually all of them for next week, because they would all be good questions that we can answer it over time. But if since we have run on for a while about those topics, I say that we should move through them. We will do our first impressions of Destiny and Battlefield after we get to play them, because we all just got into it, so that we'll be playing it throughout the weekend and stuff like that.
Did you get Battlefield, Courtney?
No, I didn't. Do you want to talk about Battlefield now, or do you want to wait?
Do you know what? I want more time with it.
Okay. So we'll talk about that next week. Whenever we've had time to play with it and everything, we'll go back to the normal podcast schedule next week, so you'll be able to expect them in normal times. Dennis, however, asked a really convenient question for E3, and he says, have there ever been a moment where you cheered or flipped out during a presentation during E3? And I explained that because somebody asked, like, what was our favorite E3 or our favorite moment at E3 one time, and that this is exactly why, was that I cheered. I literally jumped out of my bed, cheered and flipped out and screamed and everything whenever Final Fantasy 15 and Kingdom Hearts 3 was announced last year.
That wasn't E3, was it? Wait, was it?
Yeah, it was. It was E3.
Okay.
But yeah, that was the moment where I literally flipped out, jumped out of my bed and cheered, because I was watching it laying back in bed, and I went crazy over it. So, but yeah, what about you guys? Have you ever had a moment like that?
Oh gosh, yes. I've had quite a few. None lately though. None in the last maybe 3 years ago. What game was it? There have been a few that I've really got way overexcited for, way more excited than an adult man should be excited. I can't remember what game it was.
We can roll back.
Yeah, we'll roll back. I'll remember it.
All right, Lou, what about you?
Well, if we're talking this year, the closest thing was definitely Zelda. But if we're talking previous years, I flipped out at one of my internships, maybe 2 or 3 years back, at the announcement of Luigi's Mansion 2, because Luigi's Mansion is such a close and personal game to me, and one that I had thought that a lot of the internet and Nintendo had forgotten, that when they announced that during their announcement for Year of Luigi, it blew my mind.
Fair enough. Landon, did you come up with the...
I didn't, but I'm pretty sure it was Red Dead Redemption when it was I think it was announced at E3, wasn't it?
I don't remember. It's been a while now.
I just remember being insanely excited. Westerns they are very rare, and Western games, there's very few good ones. At least I haven't been impressed with very many of them. I love that game to death. I think that's what it was. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's a Grand Theft Auto on horses and cowboys and Indians. It was, yeah. It blew my mind more than the E3 show did. I remember that.
Dennis then asked, do you think the companies are saving some games for Gamescom since it's become so big and grown so fast? I think the obvious answer is yes. Like, there were several companies who held back their announcements and who were very vocal about holding back their announcements because they wanted to save it for Gamescom, because they're European developers and stuff like that. There are so many worldwide studios now that why announce it at E3 when it's going to get lost in the fray when you could announce it at Gamescom in closer to your home country? That just seems obvious.
But, right. Media Molecule.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, did I tell you I found out who was developing Little Big Planet?
No, who is?
Yeah, let me jump down. It's being developed by Sumo Digital.
No clue.
Yeah, me either. I was like, oh.
Do we trust it?
Who the fuck is that?
I'm going to look it up.
I think it looks good. I mean, it looks okay. But, okay, so Dennis has another question that we can answer, or that we can talk about real quick. Do you think that we're at the point where voice actors are important to a game like movies, in the way that we're getting more quality and prestige to voice acting in games? I think that they're becoming very important to games. Names and stuff like that. For instance, as long as it's been for the past 6 or 7 years, Nolan North, and now has become in Troy Baker. The problem with that, though, is that they're in every game. So that's not like the 1 or 2 games a year where it's like, oh yeah, that awesome actor's in this game. It's literally Troy Baker's in every single game coming out this year. Like,
well,
not
what about
he's Mario's voice, he's Yoshi's voice, he's everybody. Come on. No.
Charles Martinet has way more experience. But anyway, you have to also remember that we are getting big names. I mean, we're getting who's the one in Call of Duty again?
Fuck.
Yeah, that's my
Frank
issue.
Underwood from I can't remember his name. I can remember him in the show. Kevin Spacey. There we go.
Gosh.
So yeah, we're getting bigger people. I think that people are starting to understand that we're not a dying industry, that we're not a small industry by any means, and you get people who will buy games, and it's probably not too much voice acting when you think about it.
Well, I look at it like this. There's what is it? The video game industry is outselling Hollywood by how many times now? I mean, there's way more money in games than Hollywood anymore. I think it's going to be the norm. I really do. I think it's turning into the norm, and most of us aren't noticing it.
Yep.
Right.
I agree. Okay. And I think we can move on from the next ones. We'll save the next questions, Dennis and Chris, for next week. They're all good questions from Johnny, Dennis, and Chris, and I want to answer them, but we've gone on a little long, and it's Friday night, and we're getting ready to play Destiny, so I think we need to go ahead and cut this one off. But yeah, so let's wrap this up. We normally record, our normal podcast schedule is Mondays you'll find QuickTime event, Wednesdays you'll find the Mong podcast, and then Fridays you'll find the next QuickTime event. That is how it's going to be, and that's how it's going to be hopefully going from this week forward now that E3 is over. This giant mess of announcements is over. You can email us questions or comments at mong.podcast@gmail.com. You can find us on Facebook and Twitter. Just look for Mong or Mong Podcast or Middle of Nowhere Gaming. You can find us also on YouTube, youtube.com/Mong Podcast, which we've had a little mix-up with YouTube over the past week, so we can't upload any videos that are past 15 minutes. So a lot of our Let's Plays and a lot of our podcast is not going to be on YouTube for at least a month probably, but it will be elsewhere, so you could find like the MP3 version and everything. But yeah, go ahead and search us on Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, YouTube, all the social media sites and stuff. And then also make sure you check us out, our actual website, middleofnowheregaming.com, every day for our latest editorials, news, reviews, and all that stuff. Like we told you at the top of the show, we had over 100 news stories this week. We worked our asses off. Lou and I are just plumb exhausted.
Correction, you guys worked your asses off.
Yeah, today we were fighting to get stories out. We were like, oh god, we got to get these. Come on. We just kept pumping them out, but they're all out there. So we appreciate everybody who reads them, comments on them, likes them, all that good stuff, and interact with us on Facebook and Twitter. We love to talk to you guys. We love to respond and all that stuff. We've got a lot of messages or a lot of tweets lately from Dennis and Evan, two of our bigger fans. They like to tweet at us and stuff, and it's fun to talk. It's fun to have conversations about games and all the latest stuff and announcements. So
I'm
go ahead.
responding back to Dennis right as we speak, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
That's what I was in the middle of doing.
And so you could find us all on Twitter. Landon's not on Twitter, are you?
I have a Twitter account. I need to get the link up, so I will be on Twitter very soon.
You will be. Okay.
Yes.
So where can they find you then, besides Twitter?
Facebook.
Your name?
Facebook.com/Uncle Mr. Uncle Muscles.
Mr. Uncle Muscles.
Let me double check that, because Mr. Uncle Muscles is my that's my Xbox name, and then Uncle Muscles is my World of Warcraft character name on like 50 different servers. So let me double check that first.
Okay, Lou, where can they find you?
They can find me at Lou Contaldi.
On Twitter?
On Twitter.
Okay. And they can find me at Osborne_2009.
Yeah, mine is Facebook.com/Uncle Muscles.
Uncle Muscles, okay. And, me and Lou, are you planning to play Destiny tonight, Lou?
I am.
Okay, good.
Just got downloaded.
Yeah, I was going to say, we're both about to jump into Destiny, so go ahead and look us up on PSN, because we're posting this tonight, and then we'll probably be playing Destiny throughout the weekend. So if you guys want to join us, you want to play with us, you can find us both on PSN. You can find me or not at, I guess, but yeah, but there's no at sign. Osborne 2009. It's OSBORN 2009. And what's your PSN handle, Lou?
You could friend me over at King Louis Trip. King Louis Trip, as in taking a trip, all one word. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll
Hopefully
be on
we're good.
Hopefully we're okay at this game. It's going to be exciting. Anyway, so thank you all for listening to us this week, and thank you, Landon and Lou, for joining me once again on this glorious podcast. Awesome times. Mong!
Mong!